The Street Files. A complete mystery short story every Wednesday. File 10. Murder à la carte. After finishing a case for a client in Switzerland, Olivia Street arrives at Heathrow and catches the express train to Paddington. Poppy is home for the weekend from the University of Bristol, and they talked in the week to arrange dinner out for tonight. On Olivia's list of new places to try is a restaurant that started over the summer in Soho, called the Green Oyster, and she booked a table for the two of them to catch up. Poppy's train is due in 15 minutes, and she waits in the concourse at Paddington, watching the display boards constantly moving to show the latest on arrivals and departures. She walks to platform 1 when the number comes up on the screens, and Olivia watches the train appear at the mouth of the station, then negotiate the points, before coming to a halt at the buffers. They hug when the daughter appears, and the two of them walk over to the Elizabeth line, then resurface on Tottenham Court Road. It's only 5 minutes across Soho Square before they reach Wardour Street. The table is booked for 7 p.m, so they're nearly on time, and a man in his 20s with long dark hair tied back shows them to a table in the window. The restaurant has low lighting and warm reds and magnolias on the walls. It's nearly full and bustling with people, catching up at the end of a working week. The street outside is teeming with people too, on their way to eat, drink, or watch a play in one of London's theatres near here. "This place specialises in seafood," says Olivia. "Have you always been a foodie, Mum?" "I have, since I was your age," she says. "The chef here is Maxime Allard. He had a Michelin star in his Paris restaurant, so this one should be fantastic." "You said he did have a star. Did he lose it then?" "No, he closed the restaurant and came here." A waiter takes their drinks order. "Look, that's him there," says Olivia, nodding upwards towards a man in his early 30s with dark curly hair. "Handsome, if you like that sort of thing," says Poppy. "He is known for his girlfriends." "I bet he is." Their food order is taken, and they choose coquille Saint-Jacques and salmon rillettes to start. Poppy has sole meunière for her main course, and Olivia selects the house speciality of lobster thermidor. They talk about Poppy's university life, where she is studying law, and about Olivia's case over the last 2 weeks in Switzerland, working for a millionaire. 2 hours later, they've finished their food and decline puddings, but have espressos. There's been chatter around them all evening, so they don't notice at first a raised voice from the back of the restaurant. But gradually the hubbub from the customers fades, and the only speech that can be heard is one woman's words. "Wake up, darling, please." Olivia stands up to see more. A blonde woman wearing a silver mini dress is leaning over a man at one of the tables. When the woman moves, Olivia can see that the man is the chef, Maxime Allard. No one seems to be doing anything to help him, so Olivia hurries over. "What happened?" she says to the woman. "He just started talking weirdly, saying he could see things, and his eyes were huge. Then suddenly he was unconscious." "Have you called an ambulance?" The woman is in the daze of the moment, so Olivia calls over to her daughter. "Poppy, phone 999. People around now try to help the chef, and 2 customers lift him up and lay him down on bench seating near the wall. Olivia looks more closely at the man, and she feels his skin, which is burning hot. The waiters and waitresses are still appearing with food from the kitchens and try to continue working, but half the clientele are standing now, either watching or trying to assist, but there's little to do until the medics arrive. Blue flashing lights crack up against the shops and apartments of Wardour Street within 10 minutes, and an ambulance pulls right up outside the Green Oyster. The ambulance crew push inside and get people to sit down so they can do their work. The medics start resuscitation, and one collects a defibrillator from the vehicle. They administer intravenous adrenaline after that, and continue their life-saving efforts for 10 minutes. But eventually, they stop. And the people in the Green Oyster are silent. A waiter finds a spare tablecloth, and the body is covered. The woman who had been dining with the chef is crying, and Olivia goes over to comfort her. 31 he was. That's all. He was just eating and choked on his own food. It's a tragedy. I know who killed him. He had enemies. That's why we closed Paris and came here. But they followed. I'll see them in prison for this. You'll need evidence. What would you know? The woman looks at Olivia through the tears. I'm a lawyer. I know the law is about proof. Will you help me then? Put them in prison? Says the woman. I need a lawyer to do that. I'll pay you. I inherit all of Maxime's money in his will. I'm a rich woman now. If I can help, of course, says Olivia. We'll need to talk some more there. What's your name? Colette Boucher. I was his fiancée. The woman raises her hand to attract the restaurant manager, and she tells him to make an announcement that the restaurant is closing. The police arrive at the same time and say that they need all of the customers' names and addresses. Everyone is told to go to their local police station and make a statement within 24 hours to relate what, if anything, they saw here tonight. Slowly the people start to drift away and out across Soho. Olivia talks to Poppy to tell her to wait until the customers have gone, and the police gather the kitchen and waiting staff in the restaurant to start taking statements from them on the events of the night. And a pathologist is called to make an initial assessment of the cause of death before the body is moved. There's an apartment above the restaurant, and Colette takes Olivia and Poppy up a set of stairs behind a door near the kitchens. It's a modern flat spread over 2 floors. The sitting room has a deep corner sofa and expensive fabrics. There's a luxury kitchen along the side wall and a view over Wardour Street at the front. Colette gets ice from a fridge and walks to a bar in the corner. She pours herself a large gin, then opens a can of tonic. You want anything? She says to Olivia, but she shakes her head. There's a noise on the stairs from the next floor up, and a dark-haired girl appears, who's in her early 20s. What's happened? She says. Maxime's dead, Chantal. Colette looks at Olivia and Poppy. This is my sister. Did someone kill him? Why would you say that? Says Olivia. The girl turns her bright blue eyes to look at her. It was always going to end like that. What was going to end like that? He was always in trouble. That's enough, Chantal. The sister's face is a field of emotions. He was. Don't protect him. The girl turns and runs back up the stairs. Sorry about that, says Colette. She never liked him. I could go up and see if she's okay, says Poppy. Would that be all right? Olivia looks at Colette, who reluctantly nods after a moment's hesitation, and Poppy disappears up the stairs. Tell me about Maxime, says Olivia. We've been together for 5 years. I worked in his Paris restaurant, and he decided that I should be in his life. That's a funny way to put it. He decided? That's how he was. No one could convince him to do things he didn't come up with himself. Did you feel forced into being his girlfriend? The woman shakes her head, and her hair sways. No, He was good to be with. You talked about Maxime having enemies downstairs. Who were they? People who didn't want him to succeed. What was their motivation? Says Olivia. He is from La Rochelle on the west coast of France. They saw him as an outsider, an étranger, a stranger. That doesn't seem like a reason to kill someone, though. That was the start of it, says Colette. He wouldn't back down, he was a fighter. They didn't like that. They forced him out of Paris, you said. That's why he closed the restaurant there? No, it was my idea. I wanted to come to London. So you did have the ability to influence him. You said just now that only he decided things. You did too, by the sound of it. It took me 3 years to be trusted by him. I don't think he trusted anyone else he knew. But I was special. When Poppy reaches the next floor up, there are 3 doors around a long landing. All are shut. She tries one of them, and it's a bedroom with floor-to-ceiling fitted mirrored wardrobes down one side, and a large bed that she reckons must be super king size. But there's no sign of Chantal. She tries the next door, and it looks to her like it's a boy's bedroom, with Star Wars posters and an unmade bed. The floor is littered with discarded manila packaging that has a red label on it, that's been opened hurriedly and left. But the room is empty. She knocks on the final door, and she can hear a girl's voice say, "Oui." She opens it. The girl is sitting on her bed against the headboard and looking at her phone. "My mum's busy talking to your sister downstairs," says Poppy. "Can I come in?" The girl nods but doesn't say anything. "She's helping your sister with the legal stuff because Maxime died. Did you not like him?" Poppy sits on the bed. "He was okay. Your sister thought you didn't like him. She'll inherit. Wait until she discovers there isn't any money left. Where's it gone?" "He spent it on his women. Me included." "You were one of his women," says Poppy. "I'm 20. I am a woman." "Does your sister know that she wasn't exclusive?" "Of course not. She wasn't the one in the family born with brains." "Did he have a lot of women?" says Poppy. "He was our creative, wasn't he? He needed constant pandering for his delicate sensitivities." "You're definitely talking like you didn't like him," she says. "He was useful to me for a few months. I was going to move on anyway. He'd stopped being a benefit. I've got other men who can provide much more for me than him." The bedroom door opens and a young man is standing there. "What, Hugo?" "Who's she?" He looks at Poppy. "Just some girl." She flicks her eyes to Poppy. "This is my brother." "My mum's helping your sister. She's a lawyer," says Poppy. "Why does she need a lawyer?" "She reckons someone killed her boyfriend." "He won't be missed." "Why did no one in your family like him?" "He was an outsider." Hugo's face is emotionless. "What happened to your parents?" says Poppy. "They were killed when we were kids. A road accident," says Chantal. "Colette's brought us up. She's our mother, really. She's responsible for us." "How old are you?" says Poppy to him. 22. "She's not responsible for you. You're an adult." "I'm not taking the blame for her stuff," he says, and storms out. Olivia looks at Colette and tries to assess what's going on inside the woman's head. There's a sound of boots on the staircase, and a tall man with light brown hair and wearing a chef's uniform appears in the doorway. His eyes portray his nerves. "Come in, Freddie," says Colette. "This is a lawyer." Olivia shakes his hand and introduces herself. "You might be able to help, Freddie," she says. "Which dish did Monsieur Allard eat tonight?" "The thermidor." "Why is that relevant?" says Colette. "Because he was poisoned with belladonna." "How do you know that?" Freddie's anger is piqued, and he and Colette exchange a glance. "I know the symptoms," says Olivia, keeping her voice steady in the face of emotional witnesses. "I've seen 2 other people killed using that in the last 10 years in my work." "You don't know it for sure," says Freddie. "We can ask the police when they complete their pathology what was the cause of death, but I can guarantee they'll find the same thing. I had the Thermidor tonight too, so they weren't all poisoned, or I wouldn't be standing here talking to you now. If it was laced into his food, then the police can trace where that might have happened." "They'll have to rip the whole kitchen apart," says Freddie. "You won't be needing it. You're not going to be open for a while, are you?" "I can design menus. I did most of them anyway. He just took the spotlight. He was one of the hot names, wasn't he? Couldn't do anything wrong. He wasn't what he seemed." "How long have you worked here, Freddie?" says Olivia. "A year nearly, since it opened." She decides to push him harder. "You're the sous chef, are you?" she says. "Not quite the boss. You're the number 2. Is that you? Or was the bridesmaid never the bride?" She can see that he wants to talk, and she can see that he's stopping himself. "Got sick of him, did you, Freddie? You doing all the work and him taking all the plaudits?" Freddie's eyes are 1,000 watts, and he looks at Colette for half a second before diverting his gaze away to neither of the women. "Is that what happened? Thought you'd become the top dog in Maxime's own kitchen." "I didn't kill him," says the man, looking directly at Olivia. He starts to leave. "I'll call you later," says Colette. He doesn't reply and walks off, down the stairs. "Do you think he did it?" says Colette. "He has the motive and opportunity. These men you talked about in Paris," says Olivia. "They could have paid him." "Freddie's loyal." "Freddie's bitter," she says. "It's not unusual that people around a bright, shining star can see the daily reality and start to feel that they could do just as well. Success breeds envy." "Not always." "Agreed, not always. But when you look at murder, lack of recognition or a feeling of unfairness can simmer away inside the mind of an underdog for weeks, months, or even years. Then all that potential energy boils over when the occasion presents itself." "It wasn't him," says Colette. "The men you talked about, do you have any evidence? Text messages, threats delivered somehow?" "No." "You can't prosecute without a name, Colette," says Olivia. Upstairs, Poppy feels she needs to know more about Chantel's relationship with Maxime. "How long have you been sleeping with your sister's bloke?" she says. "Since this place opened." "Were the 2 of you in Paris together?" "I just said, since this place opened." Chantel frowns. "What was your reason to do it?" says Poppy. "Just take something of hers?" "Protect her from him?" "Protect her? How? Was he violent or something?" "No, he was a gentleman. He had loads of women on the go at the same time, though, didn't he? That doesn't sound very gentlemanly." "He was kind, I meant. When you were with him," says Chantal. "So you were protecting Colette from what?" The girl looks sad. "We'd lose her. Me and Hugo. She looks after us. If she got married, he'd be her family, not us. What would happen to us?" The bedroom door opens again and Hugo is back. "I don't want you snooping around up here," he says to Poppy. "This is our place." "I'm not snooping." "I don't like it. You need to go." Poppy stands up and blows out her cheeks in dismay. But she doesn't talk and heads back down the stairs. When she arrives in the sitting room, Olivia is talking to Colette, and her mother says, "We haven't finished yet, I'm afraid."
"They threw me out. Let me go and talk to them,"
says Colette, and she runs up the stairs.
"They give me the creeps, Mum,"
whispers the girl.
"There's a brother too, the middle one between Colette and Chantal. Their parents died, and basically they see Colette as their mother. They're super protective, and they aren't unhappy at all at Maxime dying. They're almost... what's the word that best describes their reaction?"
Poppy pauses for a moment.
"They seem relieved."
"Another thing we know is that this is definitely a murder," says Olivia. "It was belladonna poisoning. That doesn't happen without intent."
"I've heard of that. That's a plant, isn't it?"
"Dangerous to the touch and fatal when ingested."
"Did you get any other useful stuff from Colette?"
says Poppy. "She's inconsistent with what she's telling me. She mentions some mysterious men who are behind Maxime's death. But there are no messages or anything that could be used to show that they killed him, or even threatened him."
"Is inconsistency in evidence an indicator of someone being guilty?"
says Poppy. "Sometimes it is. We only remember a tiny fraction of everything that happens. When the memories are true, they can be a jumbled mess, not a neat narrative. But when we invent an alibi, humans tend to make them too perfect."
"Then the guilty person is consistent, but they're lying?"
says Poppy. Olivia nods and Poppy frowns.
"I wouldn't mind a coffee,"
she says, changing the subject.
"I wonder if I can get one downstairs."
"I'll wait here for Colette to come back," says Olivia, and her daughter treads down the steps to the restaurant. The room is half full now. Kitchen and waiting staff are sitting with the police and giving their statements. There's a small, black-haired waitress leaning against the wall by the front door as she waits to be interviewed.
"Are we allowed out?"
says Poppy.
"Not yet. Who are you? I thought all the customers had gone home." "My mum's a lawyer for the widow. They're talking upstairs,"
says Poppy.
"Did you know Maxime?" "Yeah, he knew us all the staff. Particularly the girls." "I'm Poppy. What's your name?" "That's funny, I'm Daisy. Did your mum and dad like plants too? That's why they chose my name. I've got a sister called Lily, and not only that, our surname is Hawthorne."
She raises her eyes to the heavens.
"My mum's a herbalist. Taught me the whole thing. It's cool, though. If you get stung in the countryside, I know you rub a duck leaf on it." "What did you mean just now when you said that Maxime was particularly friendly with the girls?"
says Poppy.
"He slept with some of them, the waitresses. That's how he met his girlfriend,"
says Daisy.
"She worked for him in Paris, so some of the girls were trying to replace her in his affections." "Did you know? He wasn't interested in me."
She has a fleeting look on her face that Poppy can't translate. On the top floor, Colette's face is angry as she storms into Hugo's room.
"What did you say to that girl who was up here?"
He looks around and stops clearing things up from his bedroom floor, where he's putting stuff into a black plastic rubbish sack.
"She was nosy. She's an outsider. Her mother is helping us. I'm trying to get us out of here, Hugo."
"I didn't like Maxime," says the boy.
"I know. I was doing what I had to do."
"What?" He looks at her directly for the first time. "Didn't you love him and everything?" She shakes her head.
"No, he was useful to get me out of Paris."
"You know he was sleeping with Chantal," says Hugo. Colette looks hurt for a moment and turns away to the next bedroom on the landing, and she goes in without knocking.
"You didn't have to tell Hugo about sleeping with Maxime," whispers Colette. "We don't have secrets from our brother, do we? He didn't need to know. The less people who know, the better." Will you still get the money from Maxime's family?
Says Colette.
Of course. I've seen the will. I am the only name on it. Then we should celebrate, says Chantal. Where's that vodka you bought?
Poppy turns to Daisy in the restaurant.
Is there coffee around anywhere?
She says.
Try the machines along the back wall.
Poppy follows her directions, but there's police tape across the whole of the back of the restaurant. She can see a fire exit door on the outside wall, and it's open. In the doorway, with a cigarette, is Freddie, the sous chef.
Is there any coffee anywhere?
She says, behind him. He turns.
All taped up. Are you a policewoman? My mum's the widow's lawyer. Is she blonde and a fighter? That's her. Did you meet her?
She accused me of killing him, says Freddie.
Did you?
Poppy turns to look directly at him, and has a half smile on her face to allow her to make the words a joke or not, depending on Freddie's reaction. You're like your mother, he says under his breath.
I'll take that as a compliment. Are you a chef then?
He holds his hands open to indicate his chef's whites.
Tell me about Maxime and women,
says Poppy.
Did he pressure them into sleeping with him?
Not at all. The opposite. Freddie takes a drag from his cigarette. They went out of their way to get into his bed.
And you didn't mind that?
Freddie pulls his eyebrows together. Nothing to do with me. It was his restaurant. All lords of the manor used to sleep with their servant girls, didn't they?
But it's not the 1700s anymore.
Humans don't change, he says quietly.
I have another question. Do you use any edible plants in the recipes at the moment? You can eat pansies, can't you? I'm sure I had a salad with flowers on it at some posh restaurant once.
We've got flower-encrusted halibut with nasturtiums. Not deadly nightshade, though, like your mother said.
Who do you think killed him?
Poppy inches closer. Someone who wanted to stop him, says Freddie.
Stop him doing what?
Before he can answer, Daisy is beside them, but no one saw her arriving.
The police need to speak to you, Fred,
she says.
For your statement.
The sous chef scuttles away, and Daisy has a look of victory on her face as she follows him. Poppy notices. She steps outside into the tiny backyard. It's no more than 10 feet long and 4 feet wide. It's all brick. There's a high wall along the side of the yard that borders onto Broadwick Street, with a bolted metal gate in it. There are 4 large refuse bins at the end of the yard, and on the ground near them is a black plastic rubbish sack. Poppy can just see manila packaging, with a red label that is poking out. She walks over and lifts the edge of the sack. She looks at the packaging and reads the words printed on it, then picks it up and runs back inside. She takes the stairs 2 at a time, up to the sitting room, where Olivia is still waiting for Colette to reappear from upstairs.
Mum, look, this packaging. It was in the bins, or it was in a black sack near the bins, says Poppy. See on the red label? It says, Plants Online. I've seen this box before. It was in Hugo's room, the brother.
It's circumstantial evidence, says Olivia. But we could go and talk to him. The 2 women climb to the floor with the bedrooms on it. Poppy points to Hugo's room and she knocks. Yeah, he says from inside. Poppy opens the door. What do you want? He is curt. Poppy has the packaging in her hand.
Is this yours?
He squints slightly as he looks. Yeah, why?
It says Plants Online,
says Poppy.
What did you buy?
Why?
It's important.
I don't know.
The postmark says 2 days ago, and you can't remember what you received 2 days ago?
Wasn't me, anyway, says Hugo. Look. He opens one of the drawers in his room and fishes about for something, then pulls out the rest of the red, torn label. He holds it up. Not my name.
Whose then?
Says Poppy. He's just about to read from the label when a woman's voice comes from the hallway.
Miss Daisy Hawthorne, care of the Green Oyster, Wardour Street, London.
And Daisy is there.
This is your package,
says Poppy.
I ordered it. What was in it? Belladonna,
says Daisy, and she looks defiant.
Did you put it in Maxime's food tonight? No. Why is the label in Hugo's room? I ordered it for him,
she says.
We're seeing each other. What was the plant for?
Says Poppy.
We didn't kill him. We just provided a service. Who to?
Daisy is silent, and her gaze meets Hugo's, across the 10 feet between them. A second ticks by. Then another. Hugo nods, very slightly.
Someone who needed it more than we did,
says Daisy.
Who? Freddie.
Olivia immediately turns and disappears downstairs. 2 minutes later, she walks back up the stairs with one of the police. Daisy, Hugo, this officer will take your statements. Freddie has been arrested. The policeman leads the two of them down the stairs. I don't know where the other sisters are, says Olivia.
I had a quick look just now. They're asleep in the other room, cuddling an empty vodka bottle,
says Poppy. You solved this one, Poppy. You saw the clues. Olivia puts her arm around her daughter's shoulders.
I'll make a detective one day, Mum.
You're already that, Poppy. Come on. Let's give our statements and go home. They turn and walk back down the staircase. The Street Files. A complete mystery short story every Wednesday.